Our question today is, why do you prefer contract for deed versus lease option as an exit? And I'll tell you, there are several reasons for that. The first 12 years that I was an investor, I was what a lot of people like to call a transaction engineer. And really, what that means is I did a lot of generic marketing, whether that was bandit signs, mailings, it may have been ads in the newspaper, the small local paper, driving for dollars. I did a ton of marketing, and I actually took the leads as they came in and put them in the appropriate place. Is this a fix and flip? Is it a wholesale deal? Is it a keeper that I want to sell with seller financing, lease options? We did it all. And I'll tell you, my 12 years of experience told me this. With a lease and option on an exit, I don't really have a buyer. And I don't care what the course you bought tells you, or what someone in a Facebook group tells you, or a YouTube video. It doesn't make any difference. Those people just aren't as committed as an actual purchaser. If I sell on a contract for deed, I'm getting a buyer. I'm selling with seller financing. I'm getting a larger down payment. I'm getting someone who absolutely wants to own that home. Now, in some states, you're actually limited in the amount that you can get up front or option consideration on a lease and option. Like, for example, in the state of Florida, you can't collect more than 5% up front as option consideration without giving your buyer an equitable interest. So you may as well be selling them that property with seller financing. You're not going to be able to do a simple eviction if they don't pay you. If they resist, you're going to have to go through a foreclosure, and that's a long, drawn-out process, so you don't have to do that. So the real reasons that I prefer it these days, and for the last 12 years, I have followed a very specific model. I'm a one-trick pony, if that's what you want to call me, and that's okay with me, because I love what I do. Now, absolutely, there's no downside to what I do. We buy subject to, we sell with seller financing. We collect 8 to 10% down each and every time, and we have a much better conversion rate at the end. My experience tells me that with a lease and option exit, about 80% of those are going to come back to me. The people aren't going to exercise their option. They're going to give me the house back at some point, and I don't want that. With a sale, an actual sale, and for me, that's a contract for deed, it's just reversed. About 80% are going to exercise their option. In fact, as of right now, we run 84, 86% conversion. So that we're going to get 10 to 15% of those properties back at some point in time. So that's a much better situation for me. We can always buy more houses, and finding a buyer is pretty easy in these markets today too. 8 to 10% down, and we sell on a contract for deed. That's why we like it. It's a better conversion rate. You get larger down payments. You get a better monthly spread on the payment. I know your course probably told you can charge much higher rent for a lease and option, but the truth of the matter is it sounds good on paper, but in actual practice, it just doesn't work out that way. Don't ever count on more than market rent, okay, for your rental properties. And that's really what a lease and option is. Yes, there are some upsides for you. If you're holding a lot of property and you want depreciation, yes, you can write off some of your income because you are still a landlord. Technically, you are. And if you find yourself in court, depending on the judge that you stand in front of, especially if you're one of those people that want to sell on a lease and option and say, well, my buyer's going to take care of all the repairs, all the maintenance, and everything else. Again, it sounds really good. And you may have a few of those people that will do that. But if you run into those tenants that resist the eviction for some reason, they can't pay, they won't pay, and you find yourself in front of a judge, a lot of judges will say, listen, why are you asking your tenant to pay? You own that house. You need to be paying. So, there's always that chance you'll run into that too. So we prefer a contract for deed sale. And it doesn't matter if you're in Texas, you're going to have to do a wrap probably because of the way Texas law is set up, but it doesn't make any difference. Bottom line is, if your intent is to sell these houses sell them on a wrap or a contract for deed. You're going to have a much better turnover rate with those things as far as getting refinanced out and those people actually buying those houses. That's why we prefer contract for deed as opposed to lease option.